think about what are more important things to do. This is not important for us right now.
And then when that more important things come, there is more important things.
More important
So
things.
the real important thing is
And the thing is this, the more you engage, the more you act like a person who is actually their vote bank. Until they recognize us as their vote bank, they are not going to make those changes. SC is going to throw the ball to them and these guys are going to keep throwing the ball back. We can't make the changes, we can't do anything, it's too much work. At the end of the day, people are living their lives without getting certain basic rights. They're living and passing through this world without basic rights of companionship, the way that the world recognizes it. Because I cannot at any moment call my partner my wife. I can in closer circles, but nobody will. I can't take my children on a flight without their mother. I cannot travel without my children alone, without their mother, because I don't have paperwork under my name. And I look visibly queer, so people are going to ask me where the children came from. Right? So these are small, little things that, what was the question?
You don't have to worry about that.
I'll stop talking for 5 minutes.
So personally, I think that even if it goes to the states, it's positive for certain states. I'm pretty sure the progressive and literate states but Kerala and all will be leading by example.
Yeah.
You know, and
I think they already have a lot of
it
policies in
will
place.
all depend on which state comes first, you know, one with the positive side or the negative side. If somebody comes with a positive verdict for marriage equality, then it's good. The other state might think like, okay, let us do it. But somebody comes negatively, like certain states before this case were asked their opinion. In Rajasthan, surprisingly, a Congress ruled state did not say they are not in the favor, which was quite shocking. Like I was thinking, if it goes to the states, at least we'll have half of the states in our favor. So we can't even count on Congress ruled states like Karnataka. So what are our options left? Kerala or Tamil Nadu, you know, and probably Telangana. I'm not sure where they are in the PRS and all, the TRS and all. But I have yes, TMC, yes, of course. West Bengal we could expect from. So even if it goes to the states, we'll have marriage equality in some states. We might just all migrate there.
Get married and come back.
Get married and come back.
Wedding tourism.
But then again, we'll be legally married in one state and not legally married in another state.
That's kind of
Which
what
happened in the US.
right?
Which happened in the US.
So which will be the Las Vegas of India then?
But I would do what Cam and
Actually,
Mitch
for
did,
where we
not
need
to
to
marry
stand
unless
for
all the
ourselves.
52 states in America
It's like a
legalized marriage. They will.
opportunity for Goa.
Goa will not. Like Goa is also very aggressive.
So Goa, sorry to digress because we're talking about state, maybe relevant. Like, we do have some of our people who live there, who are queer, and AFAB people I'm talking about, who run groups and parties and events and everything, who are, let's say, now considered Goa locals. And they are telling us that Goans are very regressive and conservative.
Especially when it comes to
They
this.
only like drinking.
That is not regressive.
Alcohol does not a progressive make. Not everyone who drinks is a forward thinker. Yes.
Yeah, so I think
Only more rational
I
will be
feel like-
non-thinkers and accepting.
That's true.
so that itself shows you, and I think it comes back to this conversation that even the court is saying, or some of these lawmakers are trying to say that this is not our job, it is a legislation job. And in some way, I'm also like thinking, okay, sure, that makes sense. I'm not agreeing or disagreeing with it. I see why they're saying that, because society is in a different place. Like, you would think that Goa, generationally being what it is, there used to be a bus from Greece to Goa that traveled by road for hippies. Which was
I don't know whether to believe these videos or no, which
No,
we see
it's
on
not
Instagram.
videos. This is not a video.
I recently saw this.
No, this is not a video. Actually, they found some footage of it was an archive footage that was found
I
in
think
a
there was a lot of
house.
erasure from that.
Yeah, so
period
what
in
I'm trying to
India.
say is that
Yeah.
when that state has actually gone through that much of so-called progressiveness, the free love culture, the drug culture, they have so many things going for them. You would be like, they'd be okay with some sex, like some kinky sex. But they're not. They're all missionary people. Like sexually and
missionary
that's what I mean by like, while I do see the point of lawmakers and courts saying that is society ready, legislators should answer, etc., etc. I was thinking that actually one of the first thoughts I got and the disappointment I got when this happened was I recently finished a master's, right? So I did a lot of studying of Ambedkar. And in the Constituent Assembly debates, Ambedkar says that we as lawmakers and legislature people need to pave the way. We need to do the difficult thing that society is not ready to do. As protectors of our citizens, we need to do what they need fairly. And that is the first thing that popped into my head. It's a Constituent Assembly debate printed sitting with the Constitution today in their offices. Where Ambedkar extensively says this. And I'm thinking, yeah, so why haven't you done that? Right? Like one part I agree, society is not ready. But if you as lawmakers help the society saying, hey, we as law accept this. So you may take 10, 20 years, but we will protect our citizens. Because that is my duty.
Do you think it's become, and again, broader trends, it's become difficult to do that? Like, we've actually become more aggressive.
Yes.
Because of everything that's happening in the political sphere, in the religious sphere, we've touched upon all of that.
We become more polarized for sure. I wouldn't
Polarized,
say
yes. I don't know about
regressed,
regressive,
but
yeah, polarized.
And
Yeah.
somebody who would want to support the LGBTIQ rights, but we see that his political party or the political ideology that he belongs to is not supporting, probably might not stand up and voice for us with the fear that he might be seen as from the other opposite political point of view.
Or
So
seen
that is
as
problem.
gay.
Or seen as gay himself. But that though is always there.
I think what's his name, Shashi Tharoor did try pushing something in
The parliament,
parliament
yes.
and he was just mocked.
Mocked,
Yeah.
right.
There's no other way to describe that experience. Yeah, so, sorry.
No, it's complex. Like, small digression, like the political climate you're talking about. Like yesterday or somewhere, we were talking about NGOs, and a lot of NGOs were not getting funding, or something like that we were talking about. And somebody said, the safest NGO thing to do was to feed children. Like
Oh
the
my God.
safest. Like you want to start an NGO, feed children and deal with nutrition. However, now the government is stopping them also on the account that we are no longer a developing country. We no longer have malnutrition, okay?
Yes.
So stop having NGO feeding children.
You've segued us perfectly into the other dimension I wanted to explore,
So
which was
that's my
economic.
point. Yeah.
So, yeah.
So that's my point, right? When you have a political agenda to, I don't know, maybe become a global leader, you are creating data now. You are saying we don't have malnutrition. That too, where Bihar is your biggest vote bank, and Bihar is the poorest state in probably Asia. Forget India. Like they are so poor and they're so malnourished, including adults, that that
seen
it's so
the-
hilarious they're doing that. So I feel they're doing that to us also, right? Like they're saying that they're not enough of you, or you're not good enough. You're only in urban.
Minuscule minority.
Yeah, you can go abroad. You have the money. Whatever.
That's also Canada, they can't do it.
Yeah, I mean it's so expensive now. I mean every year I check it out. So.
But working in immigration, sorry. Yeah, so we've explored political, social as well, economic. Is there any other point in terms of the economic side of things we need to pick up? Otherwise-
Economic side only
Yeah.
or something else?
Sorry.
Economic side only or something else also?
Yeah, no.
One of the major concerns I have right now, looking forward for the community, which is not related to the marriage equality cases, but this influencers online, especially on YouTube, Shorts and Instagram Reels, I see a lot of American people creating content that is homophobic, transphobic, and I think this is all politically driven to polarize the people. We've seen time after time how politicians have they'll say that this particular minority is harmful for you, this particular minority is bad or evil or everything, and then they'll polarize the vote of the people who are not of the community to win election. I think similar kind of trend is starting in America. I don't know, because I'm seeing most of these people who are creating this content are from America, these people. And if you see their profile, otherwise they are very rational people, sensible people, but they'll create content which is against transgender people or drag people, drag artists and everyone. So that is really concerning for me. So far we've seen in our country minorities are being targeted to win elections, religion minorities and sometimes caste minorities. It is not very late that sexual identity, sexual minorities will also be targeted to win elections. So that's my concern, and rights have been given and taken off in countries like Russia. It happened, like LGBT rights were prevalent before Putin, and then they were taken away. So that is something that I'm very scared of, and it's already started in America, like targeting the LGBTIQA, creating a negative view of the community. And I don't know how many of you are concerned, but that really spooks me when I see all these shorts and reels. Have you all come across these shorts and reels?
Yeah.
All of you all,
That's
they
the
say
guy.
that drag queens performing in front of children. How, you take the extremes from our community, you take the criminals from our community, and you're showing this as the reality. It's not.
Right. Also, real and perceived criminality, right?
Perceived.
So yeah, I mean, I think that speaks to the whole. I think.
Yeah, sorry to cut you, but to the thing that is concerning me, the solution is to also create positive, content. We need to be more vocal. We need to have more allies speaking about our rights and speaking from our side. More content creators speaking. Because it's not going to be very difficult for them to hire, like they've hired it for their elections now. Some of the content makers on Instagram, they could hire them against us sooner or later. Target us as a minority to win elections. And we need to start building allyship. We need to start collaborating and
We
doing
need a
other.
queer political party.
Definitely, yeah. So that's
We
I
need
was
That's all we need. We need a prime minister who's out and proud and
We might have, but not out. You never know.
Okay. Yeah, we
Never
do.
assume.
What about AAP? I think they had initially in their
Initially manifesto.
they had something
written,
very
but
progressive. But I think they also, due to political
Yeah, I follow the
populist
party very closely.
pressures.
So, during the 2014 election, they had certain things in the manifesto, but they took it back in the 2019 elections. Behind the scenes, they are very positive, progressive. They had a trans woman fighting for the Delhi election. She won also bubbly.
Right.
So there's a trans woman who's there in the Legislative Assembly right now in Delhi. So, and I am in touch with the local party people from Aam Aadmi Party, and I keep talking to them. What are your party's stand? Are you going to be vocal or just be, speaking behind and not in the face? So they are assuring us that they are as accepting or left-leaning towards the LGBTIQ rights like any other TMC, Congress, or what the Kerala parties are.
Super. So, what would you? I mean, I think we've already identified a strategic priority, but what else would be a strategic priority moving ahead?
I have made a list. I'm going to read out because I didn't really understand that this was just about marriage equality. I thought it was a way forward in total sense of LGBTIQ rights movement. And I had recently gone to South Africa and I learned about the apartheid, the discriminatory system that was there. Sorry, my history textbooks didn't cover it, but a lot of people already knew about it. I thought I'd be sharing something new, but everybody's heard about the apartheid discriminatory system that they had. When they were fighting for overcoming this separateness that was there in the legislation, there were LGBTIQ individual and activists who were also fighting alongside with those people, and they fought for rights of the LGBTIQ people also at the same time. So when the constitution was rewritten or written in the 1990 after 1994, they included the sexuality freedom in their constitution. So the struggle of the apartheid was basically about whites, Africans, black and Indians. There was nothing discriminating per se for LGBTIQ people, but they came together for the breaking this system, and that is how even the LGBTIQ people got right, and it's there in the constitution. What are some other struggles? What are some other movements that are going on right now? We need to identify environmental, women's rights, or I've made a list of other also. I'll read it out to them because I thought I might forget them, and I'm forgetting them right now. Or people, there's casteism, a lot of casteism, caste-based discrimination is happening. So we all need to identify, and we all need to find, how we can come together and fight for equality. So that's one thing we could do going forward, and we need to really identify these things and make sure that our struggle is, the fight is done together.
For sure, I do feel minorities need to come together.
Something-
All the guys, all the folks who have been left out of the basic rights
Right.
need to come together in a way to fight together. Of course,
I think something similar happened in UK as well, right? Like the decriminalization in UK was led by, I think, the LGBTQI community working with the coal miners who were on strike.
The
No,
truck
I don't know
drivers.
if that. No, I don't know if that was.
Some particular the truck drivers also.
Yeah.
No, I don't think they
Uh,
led the decriminalization. I don't know if that's connected, but there's a really lovely movie you should look
Yeah,
up. The coal miners were going on strike and they were not getting support
We
from the
have time,
government.
right?
And this bunch of old gay people, they're like, we need to do something. And they collect money and then they go and give it to the coal miners who are like, we don't want money from you gay people. Like they're willing to starve and suffer
Yeah.
rather than take money from queer people. And the movie is about how they come together.
Some of those themes are picked up in sex education.
Yeah, in a way, yeah. And sex education is a utopia, guys. You can be whoever you want.
It's about some other causes also that I feel towards and I want to contribute towards, but those communities are strictly against us. There are certain religions, communities, religious minorities whom I really feel strongly for are being discriminated and oppressed, and I want to work for them. And people are like, these are the people who are killing your folks in their countries. I said, that's all right. It's not all of them. It's some politicians who want to, maintain the power who's doing that. And just the LGBTQ is not the victim of that ideology. The people from their own community is also the victim of their ideology. So you don't tell me that. So we have to identify these and come together.
So, in the meanwhile, if anybody of you from the audience have questions for any of our panel members,
or strategic way forward.
our suggestions,
Yeah.
let's.
Yeah,
I see. One of the things that I feel that we should, whether Supreme Court or legislation or not, we continue to live our lives the way we do, right? Fully ground and dig your heels in and love who the fuck you want to love and how many other people you want to love. Consensually.
Adults in the privacy of your own bedroom. I mean, that's how the 2018 verdict
Yeah,
is.
okay, yeah. I mean, take it out of the bedroom sometimes if you want. That's fine. But the thing is, just a lot of times there are going to be people who will say, for instance, the way that I look at it is these things have to be attacked from all perspectives, right? Starting from education, children, school, start talking about this, start talking about sex and gender in school. Move on from school further up at workplaces, in public spaces, Talk to, one of the things that a lot of NGOs do is talk to religion, to leaders, religious leaders, to come out in support of the LGBTQ community, to talk in support of non-oppressive, like just the thought of I'm a gay person and I can still seek my religion, or I can still seek the God that I want, and I'm not. I can go to a space where, or I can. Religion I think is that it's somewhere to fall back on, right?
Something along.
Yeah. Yeah, it's something that gives you a sense of grounding, some sense of structure, some sense of belonging. And when you're discriminated, so religion is one, colleges, schools, these are things that we need to talk, workspaces,
Police stations.
police stations. Police
health
stations are still
institutes.
talking women.
Yeah.
I work with police, they still don't understand.
Women.
They-
No, and by the way, women are the gatekeepers of patriarchy.
Of course.
So all those women are in police, actually.
The first thing they tell me is, madam,
Wear your button.
Button up pade, huh?
When we went to the police station, she said, button up, buddy. Like, pointing. I'm like, what is there to see?
It's a lovely cleavage.
But you know what I mean? Like, it's the first thing, like, she sizes us up to see what all she can correct us on.
पुलिसिंग की जगह मॉरल पुलिसिंग शुरू हो जाती है.
हाँ.
Policing.
Yeah.
So even the men find it hard, I think, because the women are also talking the same language. So they're like, why do I need to change? So this woman is agreeing with me.
Yeah, so from all of these spaces, when you attack it, is when it goes to smaller families. When it reaches our families, it needs to reach from politics, from legislation, from the bar and bed, from everywhere. And everyone is doing that. I see, and that's the positive, right? That's the one, of course, is that we take pitchforks and get out there and really fight for it. The question is, how long will we keep fighting for it? How long will we, because we need to make a living, you know, we need to make a livelihood, right? So if we attack it from all the sides, and when I say attack, I don't mean beat it down, but at least be visible, right? Again, going back to the fact that we need to be a vote bank. Unless we are a vote bank, our voices will not be counted. It's not fair. It's absolutely not fair. But that's the reality of things, right? Some people are struggling. There are some people who are doing the fight, who are very active in the fight. Whether it's the lawyers, whether it's the activists, whether it's the NGOs. A lot of us who don't have access to that kind of work, just living our lives as out and queer, that itself is a testimony.
Yes.
Right?
Every
That itself
person-
makes, it's just that you're there, your presence is revolutionary enough. Right? That's what I have learned, even in that
I
closed
absolutely
doors.
agree with them, and I always keep saying this, that every person who's out in the open is an activist in a way or the other.
Yeah.
And we
Or
all-
even just feeling that love for someone.
Yes.
That person already is somebody who looks at anything and feels empathy, love, these kind of things, and not feel disgust and hate. You know, that there itself we're making the change. There itself is where you know, our presence itself in the world is enough. Of course, being out is also a privilege. We need to learn that.
Yes.
Not everybody, yes. Not everybody can. Everybody has that privilege. Right?
Speaking to that, I think one dimension that we didn't get a chance to touch upon too much is journalistic independence and free speech, right? That's another, like you touched upon a whole bunch of things that we can, you know,
Yeah, so we need to also build capacities of journalists amongst our communities also who are out in the open and give them the
you can
platform,
tell
give them
those
the
stories to a
resources.
broader audience, right, and do it impartially. Because I think there's also a huge paucity of this. So.
Also, I think each one of us present here can contribute in our own ways. You know, not, when I said that every person who is out is an activist, you don't have to be out. There are multiple ways you can do, by creating content or donating money to the initiatives that are working for you, or just being there for other people who are from the community. You don't have to come out. So in our every own way, see what is your strength and use that strength for the community. I know I'm very good at simplifying concepts like what is biological sex, what are intersex persons, you know, what are trans men, and I use that strength to go out into institutes and organizations and educate people about these things. You know, what are the problems faced, that what is the punishment for rape if it's performed on a transgender woman, and you know, what is it on a woman. There's a lot of difference there. When you go out and tell these things to people, then they are suddenly, you know, they want to ally with the cause. Like they understand, no, this is bad, and you know, and I need to speak out for this, and I need to become ally. So we all need to identify what our strengths are and how we can contribute for the community and do it in our own way. You cannot be out, probably support another poor activist or fund them, anyways, like we can
Yeah.
all come up with different ways we can contribute to the movement.
Also, just the fact that you're having sex with the same sex person is revolutionary.
And not feel shame.
Already,
guilt of
yeah,
fear.
already you should clap and be like, yes. This is so bloody taboo, but I'm doing it.
Yeah.
That itself is your like
Contribution.
contribution. Your big orgasm. Yes.
Overcoming the fear and the shame and the guilt is actually the first step
Yeah.
towards accepting yourself and then contributing actively in activism. So yes.
Like be gay, do crime.
Yeah.
Any other input, suggestions, question from the
Yeah, we are really
audience?
looking for suggestions instead of questions. Like I want to ask everybody. Like I told that we can, like bring our fight together with people with disabilities or women,
Caste,
women rights,
class,
caste,
yes.
class, environment.
Yes.
What are some other movements or what are some other people who are also being oppressed? What are some other people also who are not having equality or there's a lot of thing. What are other movements we can?
The LGBT community can clearly go put out an article in the newspaper saying that we're going to go ahead with Nota for the Lok Sabha elections and say we're 10% of people, and government will start shitting bricks the moment you say you're 10% and you're going to go ahead with Nota.
My fear is we went bigger, but actually my understanding is we may be way more than 10%.
Exactly. So that will make the government shit
Yeah.
bricks.
It's not 10%, and that's the thing.
One small thing I can add.
Sure.
I think I didn't see the judgment because I knew what's going to come. What Chris rightly said. She, right? Your pronoun? Yeah. So I didn't see it. I knew what's going to come because with whatever administration it is, it's done and dusted. What we need to think from the LGBT community that we are a minority community. We should look first to ourselves. The elephant in the room is we are divided within us. We are totally divided. We don't consider if you are not from a particular party, if you are not from a particular body type, if you are not from a particular color, caste, creed, religion, physical status, and I can financial status and go on. We everything. Age,
Yes.
whatever kind of. If I'm wearing a septum, then I will be discarded. If I'm a disabled person, So first, this judgment is an eye opener for us to look inside. The reflection needs to be done. Otherwise, we are not going to succeed. What Veena has rightly said, and I think Vishal has also referred to that point. And Chris, I know your sarcasm, so I understood that. We are totally divided, and if you don't belong to a particular party, particular whatever I refer to, then you are not going to succeed jointly. And if you call for this, I saw after that judgment, we are hopeful, but what we are fighting for? I question: are we fighting for ourselves, or we are fighting with the judges? First, within the community, let us come together and stop this discrimination, because there is. When we can go on talk throughout the evening, what has happened,
Like
what's happening with
to best summarize what you are saying is there is no community without unity.
Yes.
And that's the first thing that we need to take back from today is that we all need to unite first and before we start collaborating with other movements. We need to bring our own community together first.
And the divide sometimes is so blatant and it hits you. I have come away from the LGBT community. I moved away because I found there is a discrimination, because I am from privileged background, right? As you rightly said, I have the privilege to come, walk in, be myself, show at my workplace who am I. But what about the rest of the people who don't have the financial stability? One, don't have that education. Two, third, they come from a rural background. What about them? Are we talking about them? We sometimes don't even acknowledge their presence, right? And that challenge, I think, is across the community from one end to the other, and we need to start working that. And this judgment is a slap on us, saying that since you are not united, we have a right to throw you out. That is what they have done.
One of the things that will really serve, because again, piggybacking on different agendas, I'm a little scared of that. Because people, politics is just not my thing, right? Like, I'm not qualified to contact, but what we can do is if each one from the community becomes a role model for what they stand for, it becomes easier for allies to help, because I can tell you all the allies who are willing to support, they will have lesser number of people from the community who will actually consistently stand up for what they talk about. Right? So if we are looking at empowering people, and the first I think is financial freedom, right, of sorts, to do what they want to do beyond just survival, then it's important that we show up, we do the right thing at work, we also, have, show up in our behavior and then contribute to something like this, right? So that will also help, and I think the movement is growing. Personally, we've seen so many social marriages and people going beyond that, right? Just for the marriage equality thing, if you want marriage equality or civil union of sorts, there is no stopping people from living what they want to some extent. Of course, there's a huge problem, and I don't have to spend time talking about that. But there is no stopping from living to whatever extent you can, and let's see people do that, right? Because it involves old school values. It involves courage, and it will involve somebody to work on their demons to get more. And this is where you can also learn from different agendas. The women agenda, they've gone through this, right? Like, so when you spoke about the police station experience, I can speak about that. There's so many people who can. So how did they build what they have today? Right? By standing up and talking about it, role modeling, showing that there is value in recognizing this. So
Yeah, this is what I also realized when I was stuck like in Africa and I saw the apartheid system. And then I thought about other movements that have happened, like black people getting their liberation in America. Role models played a very huge role, like Nelson Mandela in Africa, or Martin Luther King Jr. in America. So building capacity of these role models also plays a very big.
and these are bigger names, but today you will have people
of
of African origin in every profession, every skill,
Yes,
that
yes.
you will know, and you want to do it for them, right? So that's it.
And I think Leading with Pride is doing a great job in building capacity of these role models. Like Emirates did play a all of us are from such diverse backgrounds, and now we have role models in every. Like you're saying, there needs to be a role model or capacity of these advocates, community advocates need to be built. It's happening right here, right now, with all of us.
No, the
And-
challenge with that I see is in the pure community is the intersection with religion. And that's one of the biggest challenges. And I come from a Catholic background, I went through my own journey of allyship, and I've seen that change in my family and in my extended circle. But that whole intersection with religion and our perception of religion, how we perceive our religion, I think is one of the biggest challenges for the pure community. And so while we were talking about all of the support that we need, I think religious communities form such a big part of it.
Acceptance for it.
Yeah, acceptance.
We actually were in a meeting just 2 months ago, right?
That religious leader meeting.
Yeah.
We went to one. There is one organized by the Aneka Foundation.
So the conversations need, that's the thing, we are talking to churches.
Yeah.
to
And
temples.
that particular meeting had a Muslim person, 2 Hindu
Yeah.
leaders, 2 Christian, Protestant, and Catholic.
So Chris,
Yeah, we
we
have
are
to end.
kind of running out of time.
We can
It's
talk about
fantastic that we
I
had
just want
this,
to add quickly one point to this, not just the religious leaders, but the easier thing would be, like the spiritual leaders. A lot of spiritual leaders are very positive and
I सबको
supportive.
पकड़ो ना।
And उनको पकड़ो
I think all of this was
ज़्यादा होती जा रही है
हाँ,
अभी।
हाँ,
अभी अम्मा है with her beautiful hugs and everything. She invited Manvendra Singh Gohil for something, and she had him give away some. She felicitated him, and so everything. So
The
spiritual
power of
leaders are also
conversation,
something that-
definitely, because the spiritual gurus are only just talking to people. I think it brings back, what is so important, just to be able to hear and listen and talk to each other as human beings. Thank you everyone for your